evening. Welcome to this hot, steamy Monday evening. We just want to thank you for letting us come into your hearts and your homes this evening as we talk about solitary confinement. You know, this is an important topic, and we want to make sure that you all understand what it's about and how it affects your loved one. And that's why it's important. This is the healing journey, and we are part of our lessons learned, which is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And we're here to educate, motivate, inform, support, and advocate. And that's what this mission is all about. Lee, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I'm so glad to be here. And it is hot, muggy around these parts of the world as well. But
Yes.
we're going to press on. Thank God for
Yes.
so many things.
Yes. And we want to welcome our good friend, our helper, our partner, Kevin Bullard, who is the CEO of Hungry Lives Matter. And Kevin has a willing spirit that we just love. Kevin is out there doing his thing because God has given him so many gifts. And I mean, if you look here, they know him. You look there, they know him. So, Kevin, we just thank you for being a part of our journey as well and working closely with us, the two organizations, because that's how we thrive. And Kevin, everybody knows you in the community. I go one place where Kevin spoke here and Kevin's doing this. So Kevin, we're humbled to have you in our presence this evening.
Thank you, Lynn and Lee. I'm honored to be able to partner with you guys and help impact the community as much as possible because we got to have a passion for the things that we do. And if you don't have that passion, it's just going to be something that you feel like you're obligated to do, which when it comes back to giving, you should feel obligated at
Yes.
all times because God gives you a second chance every time you wake up in the morning.
Amen.
So that's why I'm always out trying to impact the community because I'm so grateful to be in this place where I'm at in life. So thank
Yes.
you for allowing me to showcase my experiences
Yes.
on a
Thank
whole nother level with our lessons learned. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We're glad to have you. And this evening, we wanted to talk about solitary confinement. You know, P. Diddy, he's had so many names. He was just put in solitary confinement. And a lot of people don't understand what that is. And that is restrictive. It could be segregation or isolation. And it's one of the most controversial practices in the correctional system because of its significant psychological, physical, and social effects that it has on the justice impacted person, not only on them, but also on the families.
Mhm.
Individuals are typically confined to a cell for 22 to 24 hours per day with very limited human interaction. Now, when we say that, there's also a time limit that they can put you into solitary confinement. Now, with P. Diddy, what happened, there was a fight that broke out, and I don't know, sometimes they can do it for his protection. But Kevin, you'll be able to tell us more about that as we get into it because the psychological effects are very deep with that. You know, there's increased anxiety, panic attacks, and chronic stress. You know, I want you to think about sitting in an area with no windows, nothing. You know, sometimes water's dripping or whatever. And that is heavy on your mind. There's also depression, helplessness, and feelings of anger, irritability, and emotional dysregulation. You can't control your emotions because you're just angry with everything. There's also sleep disturbances and nightmares. How you gonna sleep? Also cognitive difficulties, and that's the mind thinking, including poor concentration and memory problems. There's also sometimes they go into psychosis, and psychosis is hallucinating paranoia or psychosis in vulnerable individuals. And there's sometimes can be increased risk of self-harm and suicide. I want you to listen to that. increased risk of, self harm and suicide. Then you have the physical effects: muscle weakness, reduce physical fitness due to inactivity. The guys are usually on the yard, and the women, they go out on the yard. So if you're on lockdown 22 to 24 hours, you can't go on the yard. So, there's less physical activity, headaches, fatigue, and chronic pain, high blood pressure, and stress related health problems, poor appetite, or changes in eating patterns. I mean, they can't go to the store and get things, weakened immune system, and then the social emotional effects: loss of communication and interpersonal skills, difficulty trusting others after release, increased loneliness and emotional numbness,
Mhm.
feelings of abandonment, and this is important: dehumanization. It's dehumanizing, and difficulty reconnecting with family and community. Kevin, would you like to talk about the impact from a personal perspective on solitary confinement?
Um, from my experiences at being in solitary confinement, it was it's a lonely feeling.
Yes.
But at times you have two different types of confinement. You have some that they call PC, where it's for their own personal
Mm-hmm.
protection.
Mm-hmm.
But then you also have a solitary confinement of for the individuals that they consider these are close management inmates.
Mm-hmm.
And close management inmates has to be put in solitary confinement for the simple fact they have a hard time dealing with the open population in prison.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when your mind has crossed over to a certain realm in life, it's hard for you to really be associated with other prisoners
Mm-hmm.
when you don't really trust nobody. And the only place that you feel safe is in solitary confinement because of the choices that you have made behind those gates. So from I have a son that's in prison now. He's
Mm-hmm.
been locked up for 5 years now. And out of those 5 years, he has been in solitary confinement probably like 4.5 years.
Mm.
So I say, and I asked him, I say, hey, what's going on? He said, well, Dad, I don't trust people because of the lifestyle that I live. I live as a he was a gang member.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you're a gang member, there are certain types of things that you have to do to be inside of that gang, and that is if a gang member that's a little bit more higher ranking than you tells you, hey, I need you to go and handle something. And if you don't handle it, that's when the gangs will actually turn on you. So he don't realize that, yes, he might think that he has a brotherhood with other gang members, but you think those gang members want to see him go home within another 7 years? No, they're going to do all that they can to actually keep him in that prison system with them because of the lifestyle that he chose and the protection that he got from them while he was locked up or anytime he had any interaction in the prison system.
That's
So with me, with my solid, what I remember of being in solitary confinement is I called it like living inside of a bathroom because the room is no more than 8 by 10,
mm-hmm.
sometimes 6 by 9, depends on the level of confinement that they put you in. The 6 by 9 are the cells that's really confined for one individual, and and you have some guys that they cannot live on the compound. Not that they're scared of anybody, but they're just scared of what they will do to somebody else. So solitary confinement is very, very needed when you are dealing with a bunch of people that really do not love themselves.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because from my point of view is, if I really love myself, and if I really love my children, if I really love my mother and father like I say I did, I wouldn't have never took those chances to go behind those prison walls.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's a
So
hard situation.
I mean,
That's a lot. That really helps. Thank you so much for that, because you always wonder what it's like. So you just gave us a great description of what it's like. I know that, it's psychological. It's a beat down for them. But Kevin, it's only a 30-day. They are not supposed to do it past 30 days, right?
15, I believe.
No,
no.
it's 30. I think, let me put it like this.
Yeah,
It
it
depends
varies.
per state.
Well, see,
Yes.
this what they are turning into. They will consider you a close management inmate,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
when you become close management, that's when they get to keep you more than the 15 days. And that's when they
Wow.
start serving you some food they call it mash. And it's all of your food, and it's all
Ranch
shaped like a
together.
meatloaf. It's shaped like a meatloaf. Your bread, your meat, your protein, your fruits, everything is mashed together. Now you talk about, that's almost like feeding an individual dog food.
Wow. Dehuman what? It's
Dehumanization.
dehumu yeah. You're dehuman it's just, I can't even say it, because
Dehumanized.
it's, yeah, dehumanizing. It just does something to you. So this is something I know in South Carolina is 30 days. So this is something that loved ones need to know and start the clock when their child or their husband or their loved one says that, you know what, I'm in. When did you go in? Start the clock, because I know in South Carolina it's only 30 days. And check per state, because I think different states have different regulations.
Always.
But South Carolina is definitely 30 days, and that is it, and that is definitely hard. And really, when you think about it, that really has an effect on the rehabilitation process. You know, extended isolation, it can reduce participation in educational and treatment programs, interfere with learning healthy coping skills. Also, it can increase institutional misconduct for some individuals because they can't regulate those emotions. So when they get out, they're angry. It can manifest in so many different ways. And it can also make successful reentry into society more difficult due to social withdrawal and emotional dysregulation, as I said. Then, when you look at the effects on the family, and that's us, that be us, you know what? Solitary confinement affects the loved ones as well.
Yes.
Really, loved ones often, they can experience helplessness and the worrying about their incarcerated loved ones' mental health, reduce opportunities for meaningful communication, emotional distress, grief, and uncertainty, and strain on the family relationships. My son got off of uh, uh, solitary confinement, but we had the countdown going for 30 days. And Lee, you remember how hard it was for me, because I reached out to you as a support. And it was very hard for me because when they're on that, it is reduced communication,
Hmm.
and that is really hard. And then the population at greater risk. Research suggests that solitary confinement may be especially harmful for individuals with pre existing mental illness. Pre existing, if that loved one already has anxiety and they're in solitary confinement, then guess what? That's even going to worsen it. Also, adolescents and young adults, older adults. Think about an older person, they need community, and that community is not there for them. And then people with intellectual developmental disabilities, that can wreak havoc on that. And individuals with significant trauma histories. That trauma is no joke because that is when you're by yourself. As we always say, the mind sometimes can be the devil's playground. Those emotional memories and trauma is stuck right in the emotional brain, and that can be hard for a person who has trauma, so an idle mind is the devil's workshop. So and when you're in confinement, there's nothing to do. You've got to That's a good time to have those scriptures hidden in your heart so you can bring them out. Lee, would you like to comment on the effects on families and what you went through thinking about solitary confinement?
Thinking about solitary confinement from the family's point, as well as that person is in that environment of lockdown, it's for that person, his family is also in that area of lockdown because they can't get to you. There's no communication,
Mm-hmm.
there's no visits. They are just there in that cell, so to speak, for that 22 hour, 22, 23 hours
Yeah.
a day with no types of communication or connection with any person other than themselves. So
Yes.
it plays a part on your mind, your body, your soul. Physically, like you say, your body goes into some different things, or so. Certainly, mentally, it's very challenging. So emotionally, so it's a very hard time. And I know I heard you when you first started speaking about an increased risk of being suicidal,
Mm-hmm.
and you mentioned also how difficult it is sometimes when dealing with the younger persons that are incarcerated or so. I wanted to share a incident or a story that happened in the New York area, and it's pretty much in the news and everything or so. So everyone might very well be familiar with it. But it's the story of a 16-year-old who was accused of stealing a backpack. He said he didn't do it. He spent the next 3 years in one of the most violent jails in America, waiting for a trial that never came. He was never convicted of anything. His name was Khalif, and he was the youngest of 7 kids growing up in the Bronx. This happened back in 2010. Police arrested him on a walk home from a party, acting on an accusation from another teenager that said he had stolen a backpack week earlier. This young man insisted that he was innocent, and he refused to plead guilty to a crime that he didn't commit. The refusal cost him 3 years of his life. His family couldn't afford the $3,000 bail. He was sent to Rikers Island. And if any of us know Rikers Island, we know that it's one of the most notorious jail complexes anywhere or to
Mm-hmm.
wait for trial. Now, under the law, a case is supposed to move quickly, but his didn't. The prosecutor requested delay after delay. Court dates were postponed again and again, 16 times in total, while he sat in a cell, still legally innocent, still just a teenager. He was in high school. Here's the part that should make people furious. He was never actually put on trial. The case against him eventually fell apart on its own and was dismissed 3 years later after his arrest, without a single piece of evidence even being tested in court. But by then, the damage was already done, the mental,
Mm-hmm.
the emotional,
Mm-hmm.
the physical. Inside Rikers, he endured beatings from other inmates, on and off camera, and from correctional officers himself. He spent roughly 700 days in solitary confinement, some of it for infractions as small as taking an extra food tray, locked up alone in a 6 by 8 foot cell for 23 hours a day. He attempted suicide more than once while he was inside. He kept insisting on his innocence the entire time, and no one with the power within it did. When he finally walked out in 2013, he was 20 years old. He had missed the rest of his high school years. He missed his entire adolescence. He was 20 years old. He tried to rebuild something normal, enrolling in community college, but the flashbacks never stopped. He was already damaged. Former cellmates say he was never the same person from when he came in. In June 2015, he died by suicide at his mother's home in the Bronx. He was 20 years old. His story became national news almost immediately, first through a lengthy profile in the New Yorker, then through advocacy from people who had heard what happened to him and refused to let it disappear quietly. Jay-Z and Weinstein Company produced a documentary series about his life. Then President Barack Obama cited his case directly, announcing a ban on solitary confinement for
Mm-hmm.
juveniles held in the federal prison. New York City eventually settled a lawsuit by his family for $3.3 million. City officials also announced Rikers Island itself would eventually close, a decision police case helped drive more than almost any other single event. None of it brought him back, and Rikers is still open. A teenager who never had his day in court lost 3 years to a system that was supposed to presume his innocence and lost everything after that to what those 3 years did to him. And the backpack was never ever proven to be stolen at all.
Wow. Now
Such a
that's just
story.
one person. That was, thank you for enlightening us with that, because that was one person and one story. How many other stories are out there like that?
Mm-hmm.
And look what he went through. Look what the family went through. Kevin, answer this if you can. What conditioning did you do for your mind being in solitary? How do you how did you get through that, Kevin?
Um, when I first got put in there, it was like I started having a lot of anxiety,
Yes.
heart racing,
Yes.
can't sleep, mind racing, and I think what helped me out was I was able to, being that I was raised in a Christian background,
Yes.
I was able to pray and ask God to guide me through this journey
Hmm.
that I don't know nothing about,
Right.
because don't nobody know what it's like to live in a box
Who?
for 30 days
Hmm. Hmm.
with no outside contact with nobody. It's a lot of anxiety. It's a lot of anxiety. And if you don't have a strong mind, it will it will cause increased
Yes.
paranoia.
Yes. Yes.
Also, outside of paranoia, it's going to be you're going to have a lot of uncontrollable rage and
Yes.
depression,
Yes.
because I have come to learn from being inside of that place. When the death sentence, the electric chair is better than 25 years of being in prison,
Hmm.
because yes, your body will transition to another life, but just to be locked up in a box for the rest of your life,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
can it's almost like, can you imagine your soul burning in hell for the rest of your life?
Dehumanizing. It just does something to you to even think about that. And then coming out, being released and coming out, you still
Yeah.
have those traumatic memories of that. And wow, that is something. Now
Trust,
that's post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD right there.
Yeah.
right? You come out. For me, I can tell you, I come up out of there. I didn't trust nobody
Yeah. Yes.
all my life. I looked at everything in a negative. I made it a negative situation
Yes.
before I can turn it into a positive situation, because of the choices and the lifestyle that I was living. I could not. How you going to look at life positive and you committing crimes?
Yes.
And I imagine that's the way this 16-year-old felt also when he came up.
Exactly.
All
Yeah.
of that stuff just kept replaying in his mind. And at 16 years old, very tender, a very tender age and stuff, about a backpack.
About a backpack, yes.
Backpack.
And that's something, that's why. coming out, it is so important, you know, for um counseling and trauma informed care, you know, screening for PTSD, depression, anxiety, like you said, Kevin, and suicide ideations. That is, you know, something to do. And then emotion regulation and grounding techniques. You
Yeah.
know, there are grounding techniques that will make them feel safe because, Kevin, when you came out, as you said, you didn't trust anyone. So that means there's no safety in certain things, right?
No,
Yeah.
I couldn't really hold on to nothing and feel comfort and let it comfort me
Yes.
because once you behind no once you get that prison number, it's hard to come back from it because of how
Yes. Yes. Society.
society will hold you to that forever.
Yes. And
Yes.
that's so unfair because you
Hmm.
have done the time. You know, I was talking with someone and they're trying to get a job, but what is preventing them is yes, they have to fill out the paperwork. And have you ever been arrested? Any felonies? Once they put that down there, you know, it's something. So you think how many are in the system that really shouldn't be in the system. And this way they're barred for life for
Hmm.
so many different things and the psychological effects if they can't get a job and you know just those trauma memories that get them, you know, it is something else. And you know, rebuilding trust and healthy relationships is very important on the outside, like you said. And there's psychoeducation about the effects of prolonged isolation. You know, you have to educate them, you know, these are the effects of being, you know, in that confinement for a prolonged time. And then helping them develop coping skills for reintegration into the general prison population and the community. Think about when you came out of solitary confinement, then you had to go back into general pop. And when you back in general pop, you don't know how to regulate yourself and those relationships. This one could have gone home. You know, it's a lot that goes on. And then the family support and reunification when appropriate. There's so much to it. And for me, now being in the prison and hearing those stories when I minister, it's something. It is something. So it's something, Kevin. But I look at you now. Won't he raise you up? He
Yes, he
has
will.
raised you up. He has done like Job. He has given you double from what, you know, just for the trouble that you went through on the inside. God, we serve a mighty God, Kevin.
Yes,
And
we
Mhm.
do.
he has been so good to you because you're now speaking on other people's platforms, other programs. You're speaking and helping people out, you know, from your experience. And that's
Mhm.
why our name is from our lessons learned. So, from your lesson learned, Kevin, you are
Mhm.
able to help so many.
Giving
You,
back in a
you know
mighty
what?
way.
Exactly, Lee.
You know what, Lynn? My transformation. I couldn't wait till I couldn't wait till I got ready to come home from prison to be reintegrated back into society. My transformation started the day that I went in prison.
Yes, yes,
So for anybody to have loved ones that's trying to figure out how to beat the system, not beat the system, but how to overcome a
yes,
system that was meant to beat you.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
Navigate.
First it starts with family support. And it starts with you telling the individual, you are successful. You will become a business owner. It has to start with the words of positive words of affirmation.
Yes,
Once they start getting that on the inside of them, then they start believing in themselves.
exactly, exactly.
Because a person that becomes a convicted in felony, they don't believe in themselves no more because life gives up. Well, life, no, I ain't gonna say life, but society
Hmm. Hmm.
will give up on you, or you will give up on 85% of convicted felons. You have some that will make it through by the grace of God. I'm like one of those 1%er
Hmm.
because I did, my crime was not a crime against humanity. My crime was against myself of trying to survive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Because I didn't go to school to get the proper training to become a doctor or lawyer or electrician or a plumber, something just as that we call blue collar jobs. I didn't have nothing to fall back on but God.
Yes.
But God.
That was it. I didn't have no favor from nobody. I didn't have no. When I came home, somebody bought me a pair of shoes. And guess what I said I wanted them shoes to do? To go to church.
All right now. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without God, without God, it would be impossible. Unless you got the financial backing. But hey, where does that money come from?
Exactly.
If it's dirty money and somebody is trying to support you coming up out of prison, give you another life, that's not going to last.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. Not at all. Not at all.
It takes these.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a willing heart
Yes, it does. Yes,
to
it does.
go to that next level of life.
Yes.
You have to be in a. You have to. For me, I couldn't go no lower. How low can I go? And I'm living inside of a bathroom.
Yes.
So once I start living beyond that bathroom, I can say, "Hey, Lord, you know what? I want to run a nonprofit. I want to feed 1 million people. I want to impact 1 million lives."
Yes.
That was my cry. I didn't ask for $1 million. I didn't ask for the big house. I didn't ask for the fancy cars. I didn't ask for the influence. I asked for to be a willing vessel. Because guess what? When you become that vessel, well, that vessel can never get full when it's coming from God.
Mm.
Exactly.
Mm.
Exactly. He keeps pouring in so you can pour out. He
Mhm.
keeps pouring
Exactly.
in so you can pour out. And you know, another thing you were talking about in that bathroom, you know, there was a song that we used to sing in the old days. Have a little talk with Jesus.
Mhm.
Tell him all about your troubles. He will hear your faintest cry and answer by and by. So, you know, that's a time for really, you're not alone in that bathroom.
That's right.
Because God said he would be right there with you. He would never leave you or forsake you. So it's just wow. That
Like
Mm.
the
is
story,
something.
like the story of Daniel, how he went into the
Yes.
lion, how he went
Yes, he
into
did. Woo!
The
the
Christian
Walk me through it.
background that carries you through.
It is. It is the
Mhm.
Christian background, but you got to know that word. So as you said, when you went in, that was the transformation.
Mhm.
And that's important that you have that transformation. And you know, a lot of the research has consistently found that many mental health organizations recommend limiting the use of, solitary confinement, particularly for vulnerable populations. A trauma informed approach that prioritizes safety, human connection, and mental health treatment is generally considered more effective for promoting rehabilitation than extended isolation. So, you know, that is one thing. And it's really something because then they can't go to chapel, they can't go in the yard for exercise, and they have no D3. That D3, that sunlight is so
That's right.
important for
Mhm.
mental health, right, Lee, and for the body. That is
Mhm.
so important. So, you know, a lot of people now are advocating to end that. And I know Stephen with uh what is the
Restore,
place that,
let's see, the
yeah,
restorative
restorative
justice.
practices. They are
Mhm.
fighting in New York to end um the isolation. And I feel
Mhm.
here in Florida, maybe, you know, that is something that the mental health coalition can do and end that,
Yeah.
because it would really, you know, be better for society when they come out. They will know how to be reintegrated with
Mhm.
society. And, you know, if you think about it on the inside, it's constantly, you're told when to eat, you're told when to shower, you're told when to do these things. So, you know, coming back out on the outside, you know, they're waiting to be structured again like that, and it's not like that. So a lot of them don't know how to adapt and adopt to that. So you're right, Kevin. I just thank you for your
Mhm.
words of wisdom, and I thank you for the God in you, because you get out there with your team, and it's powerful to see your team how they set up everything, and you guys are you make it work, and that is something. So I enjoy your event team and your events, and it is powerful to see what God has done in your life. Not
Mhm.
only did he give you the CEO, you're now a licensed constructor. You have your own company. This is how God works. Okay, something on the inside is showing on the outside. Oh,
Yep.
what a change in your life. So
Yeah.
I
And
commend you, Kevin.
You know
and
what,
yet
man?
you still encourage others
Yes,
along the way.
yes, that's Kevin. He
Mhm.
always said Kevin is a mentor also for the boys to men. I mean, come on. This is look how much you give back to the community,
Giving,
Kevin.
giving, giving,
I mean, huh?
You know what?
giving.
You're giving.
Mhm.
It, it, there's a scripture that I base my journey off of when I started this new journey. And
Yes.
it's like Psalms chapter 1, verse 2 and 3. And it talks about a tree planted by that rivers of living water.
Living water.
And if you our bodies are trees.
Yes, they are.
And you got some that are dry bones. Guess what? They planted in the club.
Mm-hmm.
What can you get out of the club?
That's right.
Nothing but alcohol and smoke, and you spent all your money. You might get robbed. Ain't no telling what's going to come up out. So why would I want to plant myself beside a club? No, I planted myself beside places that was pouring out that living water because I was so dry all of my life. And at the age of 49, I had a midlife crisis. Like, what am I going to do coming out of prison? Who is going to give me a job at this tender age that I'm at? Not tender, but at this age that I'm at right now.
Tender.
So I had to plant myself with people and places
Mm-hmm.
that was going places in life, and not just back and forth to the jailhouse, because that's all I did for 34 years, not in and out of jail, but the environment that I had placed myself into, it was not conducive for me to grow. But once I planted myself in places, now I can claim the title of CEO of Hungry Lives Matter. I can claim the title of owner of Trackhouse Framing. I can claim the title of being a mentor for the past 10 years in impacting over hundreds of young men's lives, try to give them some words of encouragement so they don't take the path of resistance like I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And no
That's
one
so
can take
true.
that from you.
Keep moving forward.
Mhm.
Don't stay where you are. Keep going this way. A lot of people keep going back and they waver, but your feet are planted firmly. Keep moving forward on the journey because that's what it's about. It's a
Yeah.
journey. And
Mhm.
God is over here waiting for you to get over here. But along the way, He has planted such good things for you, Kevin.
Yeah.
So, you know what? We're going to pray for you here at our lessons learned and the healing journey, and you pray for us.
Yes, I
And
will.
I will be bringing the message next Sunday in the prison, and pray for me because you know what? These men need to hear what thus saith the Lord. And it's important that, that your message get to them when they come out. Hungry lives matter. What are they hungry for? They're hungry for the word. They're hungry for social connections. They're hungry for so many things. So
Yes.
you keep living your life and doing
Mhm.
that, Kevin. We applaud you here and
Oh
we
yeah.
cover you in the blood of Jesus
Mhm.
as you continue on your journey.
Yeah. It's so
And you
good to
know,
know that
I was
going in, that you prepared yourself for coming out, and
Yes.
you made that your way of life.
Yes, yes. He has
Mhm.
nothing but good things in store for you. When you give, it shall be given back to you. And you're a giver, Kevin. I watched you last week when we had our event, how you were giving out the food. And not only the food, Kevin made cakes, Kevin baked chicken. We just thought
Mm.
it was hamburgers and hot dogs. Kevin's like, no, we got this and we got that. I mean, it was amazing. And then after it was over, the food was given to the rescue mission. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Giving, giving, giving. So we just thank God
Wonderful.
for you and your spirit. You have a willing, giving spirit, and it's not only about the money. Some people will speak, but then they want to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, it's not about that. You give from here. It's
From
not
the heart.
always about the money. So, Kevin, thank you for your willing, giving spirit. We
Yes.
applaud you and
Mm.
we work with you and we love working with you. And Jackie, you are the greatest community person, with the connections as well. So we thank you for that.
Amen.
Well,
And there is life on the outside. We look at MJ, who is all over, life everywhere for him. So I applaud him as well as he is working and doing things. So both of you together need to team up and do something because you are both powerful.
I
Okay.
mean, look, I like impacting any way I can.
Yes.
And you know what? As I was sitting here, I was reading your sign, and I'm on another journey. I'm on a healing journey of
Yes, you are.
myself after
Yes, you are.
so many years of abusing my life, myself, and I love this healing part. I love being acclimated with individuals that's on a whole nother level that can help your mind heal. Because everybody can help your mind heal, but God will put certain individuals in your life to help you heal your mind.
Mm.
Exactly. Exactly.
Elevate.
And what you say, Lee? Elevate. All right
Elevate.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Elevate.
Have
Yes.
elevation.
And that's what it's
Mhm.
all that's what it's all about. If you keep it to yourself, God didn't give you your skills and your gifts for yourself. He gave them so you can help others and glorify him. And that's what you're doing. That's what Lee is doing. That's what we're trying to do here at our lessons learned, the healing journey.
Yes.
We want to help others. We want to impact and we want to impact the community. So we just thank you all for all that you do. We thank you. And closing comments are, you know, be there for your loved one. No
Mhm.
matter what, be there. Don't let your anger, don't let the sun go down on your anger. Be
Mhm.
there for your loved one because you have no idea what they go through. It's a lot of things they don't even say because they want to save you. So be there for your loved one. And Lee, do you have any closing remarks?
There's a lot of push on the outside to get rid of that solitary
Yes.
confinement because
Yes.
it is dehumanizing. The unfortunate part about it is this, you can't just push a button and make it go away. So the struggle, the fight is going on, but we can't give up with it and stuff. We got to keep pushing so that we can get rid of that because it serves no good purpose.
Exactly. Thank you, Lee. Kevin, any closing remarks?
Um, Only thing I would have to say is forgive your loved ones
Hmm.
because we don't know what it's like living on the inside. I know what it's like because I done been in there. But if you don't know what it's like, don't judge them. Love on them, encourage them, inspire them to be a better individual because that's the journey that they are on. This is not the end, but the beginning of a new phase in life. And sometimes jailhouse helps people.
Yes, it does. Turn that life around. Yes.
It can turn your life around, especially when you have such a reprobate mind like how I had. I needed it.
Gotcha.
I needed it.
Yes. It's important. It's important. And, things like this, people, it's part of our mission to educate, inform, support, and advocate. So, we educate the loved ones, we inform this is what may be happening, and we advocate for such practices as this to be diminished, to be gone,
A
done
little bit.
away with. So that is a part of our mission, is to educate. And the Bible says our people fail for a lack of what? Knowledge.
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 Uh,
This is why we come and we educate, and this is what it's all about. So remember, we are a nonprofit organization, 501c3. Look it up. We operate and help and save lives and support on what? On donations, on grants. So think about us. When you get an extra $5, think about us, because that helps us help them. So until we see you again in 2 weeks, we're going to say, peace be still. God is in control of it all.
yes, it is.
Peace be still. There is no one greater than the man above. Many may think, but God is the only one that sits on the throne. And I want you to remember that. So until we
Amen.
see you again,
Amen.
have a good evening.
Thank
Good
you.
night.